Riffical Records presents the East-West Vinyl Analysis with your hosts Mark Anthony Kay and Ken Keenan. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to a long-awaited episode of the East-West Vinyl Analysis. I am your host, Mark Anthony Kay, and joining me, as usual, all the way from the West Coast, in the lovely city of San Francisco. I believe that's where it's actually, you're in Concord, aren't you?
Right.
So
Not
you're
too
in
far
Concord.
from it, yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ken Keenan, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a busy afternoon, as I mentioned earlier. Some dog washing was done. She didn't like it, but it's done finally.
Nice.
But back to writing some music. I've been very busy writing the new record, and here you can see really a quick jot down of lyrics I've been working on. Many a scribbled lyric and stuff like that, but I'm in heavy pre-production mode where I'm just going to go through every song that I'm going to use for the album and kind of just fully write it, like everything, vocals, all the parts, kind of do like a really quick version of it. Don't even bother with like properly sung parts, just get it down for ideas, and then once I like what's going on, then I'm going to go into full record mode. So it's been pretty busy. So that's what I've been up to. What about you? What have you been up to?
I don't know, other things. Just busy doing the home stuff around the home, today. Yeah. Actually, I got some, you can tell, but a little bit of paint still left on my hand. I was doing some painting.
Oh, nice.
I needed to do, and it's just a primer now, so I need to wait for that to dry and do the regular paint. So yeah, doing stuff around the home, and that's what, I'm done for the day. I'm doing that, and it's time for some enjoyment here.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so today we're going to do a very interesting topic, one that I think that will probably be of interest to some music collectors, because I know that there's quite a few of them out there who collect these types of records, and the type of record I'm talking about are greatest hits or compilation albums or best of albums that have songs that are from multiple different records. And I don't know about you, Ken, but I like compilation records.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my go-to thing when I go to a record store, but I do like them, and I find myself in the mood for them a lot of the times where let's say if I don't want to listen to let's say a certain Rush record, I can always pull out Chronicles or something like that and listen to a mixed bag. Or if I don't want to listen to I don't know, Rock and Roll Over or something like that, or God Forbid Destroyer, I could put on Double Platinum or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like these kind of records, and the ones that I will show you from my collection are the ones that I listen to frequently. Actually, one of them I've been listening to quite a lot because it's a recent buy, and I've been really, really enjoying that one. But what about you, Ken? Do you frequent the old compilation records?
Yeah, certain ones I do get, either because I like the artist a lot and I just get the whole catalog, or in other cases I like the artist but I pick and choose either certain albums, or if I know from maybe listening to some of their samples of, say, on YouTube of a group, and I say, okay, well, I like that song, so how are the other songs on the album? And there's hardly anything very good as compared to the one or two hits that came off the album. So in that case, I may go for their greatest hits, and because that's all they got. Other than their hits, they may have had not very great or good songs compared to the hits. So yeah, I get certain greatest hits, and it's a good way to go about doing it sometimes, because and if you just want to hear the hits only too, just a bam 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 after another, one after another, then that's the way to go. It's a good way also to start out on certain artists. Like You
I
start
agree.
out, you get the greatest hits first. So like, for instance, for me, Double Platinum, right, was a
Yeah.
kind of like one of my second Kiss album, and I was able to like, okay, yeah, these songs are pretty good here. I like these songs. And then you pick, okay, well, I'm going to go back and get the album that these one or two songs were from, and build your collection that way.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that, the thinking of those kind of records are that if you don't like these songs, then chances are you won't like the rest of them. That's not always the case. There are
Yeah,
some records where I find that, some of the deeper cuts I like more, but I think as a rule of thumb, that's kind of not a bad way to look at it. If you don't like most of the songs on the greatest hits or the best of, chances are you probably might not like his style of music or the band's style of music.
right.
All right, so ready to get rolling and cracking with this?
Let's get going. Do it.
Okay. So I'm going to go first because I have my information for this one record up, and my phone, of course, stupidly comes up and says battery level critical. So I'm going to have to do it quickly. So I'll have to
Okay.
do
All right.
this one first. So the first record I'm going to show you is the one that I just mentioned that is a very recent purchase. I was waiting for it. It was an order off of Discogs that I got, and everybody knows I'm a big fan of this gentleman, and I'm talking about David Bowie.
Oh yes.
And we have the best
Best.
of Bowie. Now, the reason why I was hunting this particular one down is because this is a pressing from France.
Okay.
And if you notice down at the bottom there,
K-Tel.
the good old K-Tel label
Wow.
on there. Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, K-Tel, do I want to even dare bothering to get this? But then I looked at the track listing and I was like, Space Oddity, Life on Mars, Starman, Rock and Roll Suicide, John I'm Only Dancing, The Gene Genie, Breaking Glass, Sorrow. That's side one. Side two, Diamond Dogs, Young Americans, Fame, Golden Years, TVC-15, Sound and Vision, Heroes, and Boys Keep Swinging. And I thought to myself, that is probably one of the best, greatest hits records that I've seen him get put out. Now, let me read really quickly the other part of this that must be mentioned. It says here, in addition to including the rare 7-inch edits of Fame and Golden Years, the compilation contains unique edits of Life on Mars and Diamond Dogs, ostentatiously to allow all 16 tracks to fit on one LP. So it says here, early copies of the LP had a sticker on the back cover showing the track listing. If the sticker was removed, the original track listing could be seen showing Drive-In Saturday Night from Aladdin Sane as track 7 in place of the live version of Breaking Glass, which explains the latter's appearance out of chronological sequence here. Which is interesting too, because when I listened to this, I didn't realize some of these things. I knew that when I listened to Life on Mars, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds not the same as the record. It was, there was some edits going on there. But that's one of the things that I love about Bowie, and one of the reasons why I collect his 7-inch singles as well is because, like, I have a 7-inch single from Australia that has like Gene Genie and a couple of other songs on it, and they're definitely different. And the Diamond Dogs edit single that came out from the UK, I believe it was, is totally different from the album. So I like getting these kind of things. Some bands know how to do this, or some artists know how to do this better. Our good friends Kiss sometimes have a tendency of really doing screwy things with their singles. I'll note Detroit Rock City as one of the most ridiculous edits I've ever heard in my life to their songs. But, sometimes an edit works, sometimes an edit doesn't. This record, I've been listening to it like almost every day since I've gotten it, and I'm very happy with it. It sounds good, considering that it is a K-Tel pressing. Sounds really, really nice. I was very surprised, to be honest with you, and it came perfect. It doesn't look like it looks like it was played maybe once. Maybe people looked at it and said, "Oh, this is a K-Tel. I'm not going to bother,"
So, okay, so they crammed it. Obviously, they crammed a lot of music on the east side, so it obviously tightens up the groove. Who does it? You know who mastered it or anything like that, or does it say anything about?
I'm looking, and there's no information in terms of any kind of initialization on here. Like, it's like, TRL for Robert Ludwig or nothing like that. And there's just, most things are stamped here. Now, keep in mind, compilation records come from multiple sources and multiple
Yeah.
albums that were mastered by multiple people, but usually there is one guy who'll kind of oversee it. And usually with compilation records, from what I understand, they don't try to change sound too much. They just kind of try to make everything uniform in terms of
Balance the
volume.
levels.
Yeah.
Levels, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now, if you look though, see that dead wax? Do you see the dead wax there?
I see the dead wax. Yeah, yeah.
See, now that's not really thin, right? If you look at this side, this one has a much more thinner.
Yeah, that one's real tight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the amount of music they have on it.
Now, having worked at studios and having been able to go and do things like this recently with my own vinyl record, one of the two things that you can do that affects your spacing on it is you can trim down the volume, which makes the wave smaller, which makes you to allow to put more stuff on there, right? Or you can cut down on the bass, like trim the bass right back on the sound, which will make the levels, the waves smaller as well, right? And because sometimes when I watch some of these compilation records, like the Kiss one that I have, I just recently got as well. I recently got Smashes Thrashes on vinyl, and I was surprised that didn't have too thin a dead wax on there either, but they did trim back the low end on that. I could tell it's not terrible by any means, but because the volume is pretty much not too quiet on that one, right? I mean, there's records like Hysteria. When you put that on the turntable, it's like, whoa, you have to like turn it right up because it's, a 60-minute record, right? And you got to crank that up because you have to cut the volume right back on that one. But this one was done nicely. It sounds good. I really enjoy it. They probably did trim a little things here and there, and also because they used single edits, they were made to be put into a smaller context as well, like shorter context. So they probably didn't need to do as many radical changes for the overall thing. They just picked the ones that they liked the best, put them together, and if there's any adjustment needed, bingo bango, they did it, and that was the end of that, right? So so that's my first thing. Let me just double check and see if there's anything else that needs to be mentioned on here about this. Like I said, when you look at the track listing here, it says like Life on Mars is a quote unquote K-Tel edit, right? The John I'm Only Dancing, which is interesting that they put that on there because John I'm Only Dancing was never on any album. It was just exclusively a single. And this one is the quote unquote sax version of the song. Breaking Glass, which is off of Low, is taken from the stage album, the live album, which I was not really surprising because when I put it on and it came on, I'm like, wait a minute, this is live. I was like, that's kind of odd to put on, And then Diamond Dogs here is the quote unquote K-Tel edit as well. Right. And then you have the Fame is an edit, Golden Years is an edit, TBC 15 is an edit, and Heroes, even surprisingly, is an edit as well. The record, it's got to number 4 on the Dutch 100 album charts. It got to number 25 on the Swedish album charts, and in the UK, it was number 3. So obviously, people were loving their David Bowie and loving these kind of compilation records. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, it's a record that I think that some people who are David Bowie collectors will still go after and hunt. And from what I understand, there are about, I think, 30 different variations of this record available. I mean, it's not only just there's not only France. I mean, you can get probably like a British pressing and other countries. But I'm on this. Don't ask me why, but I'm on this real serious kick of buying France pressings lately. I even have 2 Kiss albums on the way that I ordered that are just exclusively France pressing, like Vogue ones. So I don't know what it is, but it is the fact that I like their sound. I find that France pressings and German bellophones are severely overlooked, in my opinion. They sound great. They have some really solid low end, and their sound staging is really good. So I'm figuring I'm going to start collecting a lot of those because they're a lot cheaper, and they sound sometimes as good, if not better, than some of the other pressings I've had. So why not? So
why not? Yeah,
so I mean, end of babble.
End of babble. No, it's not babbling. That's interesting. The other pressings, you never know. It's all about searching for that best sounding
Yeah.
record,
Yeah.
that you want to enjoy and listen to. So that was a good pick. I wasn't expecting K-Tel that. That's for sure. I mean, I had a couple of K-Tel albums back in the day, but usually those K-Tels were compilations of not one artist. It was multi artists. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I just had a hard time picking which greatest hits. I think I already showed on a prior episode, like the Steve Miller Band greatest hits. I did that one already, so I wasn't gonna pull that one out again. But so I decided. Well, my first one is it's gonna be Kiss, but it's not the obvious one of either double platinum or smashes and thrashes. Which we have those. I decided to go with the best of the solo albums. So when the solo albums came out. So this one I got actually in a record store back in the early 80s, or like around 80. I don't know when it was. It was early 80s. Brand new. I got it out of the record store.
Really?
Yeah, as an import. So this is the one that was from Australia. And this one, and there's other countries. I have a few other ones, but this one has a sticker, says including six full color stickers on this one. And here's the back, and it shows some of the discography back there. And the track listings may change between the different versions, but so if I look at this and pull this out here, there it is. Yeah. So here is your stickers for
nice.
the 4 stickers, and then 2 Kiss stickers down here.
Brand
new. It's still brand new. I mean, it's
wow.
And I've had it for since the early 80s, that one. And the record itself is on a Casablanca Record and Filmworks type label. And
very nice.
There you go. And it has 5 songs. I think these came out in 79. This one is made. Oh, you know what's funny is I thought this was the Australian version, but it still could be the Australian version. But it says it's made in New Zealand. So could this be the New Zealand?
It's a good question.
I know there's a New Zealand and an Australian, and now I'm thinking, oh shoot, I thought it was Australian, but now I'm confused by it. But I'll have to maybe research that one more.
This is the you're saying it's the best of, right?
The best of the solo albums.
Yeah.
But I believe I thought the Australian and the New Zealand were pretty much about the same. And why did I think that this was always from that? Marketed by Polygram. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Now, I thought that was Australian. We'll have to look that up. But this album came out September 79, so that's about a year almost after.
Well, that one appears like this. Let me see here.
I'll try it in the other.
This is a cassette.
Oh, that's a cassette. Okay.
That comes up as Australia. Now let me see if I can find the. Here's the album. Yeah, that's the one that you have.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's it.
So it is Australia. It's possible that they probably just maybe printed it there, because I'm looking in Discogs and I don't see any. Oh wait. Oh, hang on. Hang on. No, you know what, Ken? We just made a fantastic discovery, my friend.
All right.
Look at this.
Is it? That's the one with my sticker.
That's the one with yours. Okay. And if you take a look here, what does it say for country?
I got a big screen here. New Zealand. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there you go. Okay.
So that is That is New Zealand.
All right. So, well, there you go, folks. I always thought it was the Australian version, and it is not. It's the New Zealand version. But that's okay. I'm not. That doesn't make me sad or happy. It's just that's kind of cool.
It is
It's probably
kind of
more.
more
It's
rare.
probably more rare being the New
Yeah.
Zealand copy. Actually, I'm thinking about it. So beyond that, there's other best of solo albums. It's funny is the United States is like the only one that didn't even put one out on best of the solo albums, which is kind of stupid to me, but whatever. But here's another one, and this one is actually a German version has just been re-released as repressing with a splattered vinyl that I'm expecting in the mail any day now. But this is the European version that was printed out, and the track listing is different than the, for instance, the New Zealand copy. If I look at them, the New Zealand one starts out with "Hold Me, Touch Me." This one starts off with "New York Groove." So there's just these different little things that they did differently. And the back of that album is kind of cool. It has a lot of
and if you notice, because I have this one as well, they're color coordinated to each artist, obviously the colors of the song titles. But what's interesting is that it seems like the New Zealand one has the songs coupled together. Like it looks like that there's like 3 from Paul and they're all together. Is that how they appear on this album? Do they play like that?
Yeah, they kept them together. So side 1, the first 3 songs is Paul Stanley. And then Peter Criss, and I can just kind of get it. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, okay. Interesting.
So yeah, they grouped the songs together by each artist, which is interesting instead of mixing them up.
And that is a Bellophon German one, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, this one here is this is not a German one though here.
Really?
Yeah, this one here, so that we're looking at is, maybe I'm wrong. It is German. Yep, it's a Bellophon German. See, I'm wrong again. Which one's that?
And
I haven't looked at these in a long time.
In the Dead Wax, does it have SST in there?
Yes, it does. SST.
Yeah, so that is the German pressing plant.
Yeah.
That does a lot of those kind of mastering and lacquer cutting there. Good stuff. So, those are the ones I always look for.
Yeah, and so instead of staying too long in the subject, but here's another one.
France.
This is kind of a ratty one that I had picked up. It's kind of ratty. It's really rough. It's French, and it has the songs grouped, I believe, too. And I'm trying to look at talk about the big Dead Wax area. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, they all separate them out. So it's a Vogue.
No, those are grouped together, like the Paul
it's
songs
grouped
are together
too. Yeah, they grouped them together too.
And did they put Paul and Gene on the same side on that one?
I think they did.
So that's like a really interesting one.
Okay, one more. This is really rough. Really rough.
Oh, which one is this?
This one is. I'm trying to remember where this one is from. I may have to look at it because it's hard to. It looks like. This might be like.
Argentina?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Estudado Distributo. It's definitely Spanish.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, the titles are all in Spanish on here.
Yeah.
On the label. Here you see.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know if I've tried playing this thing, but it's kind of, at least the cover is really rough shape. So anyway, there was a lot of best of solo albums out there. I just got it for this kind of uniqueness of being these different covers and the different song sequences that they did on these for the Kiss solo record songs. So it's interesting. But yeah, my New Zealand one I'm kind of happy about because and that one again, that was not these other ones were picked up later on.
Yeah.
The last however many years. But that New Zealand one I got, like I said, in the early '80s at a record store.
That's a great find because New Zealand are always the ones that are not easy to find, and whenever somebody's selling them, they're always like outrageously expensive. So you should be very happy you have that one.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Especially in that good a condition, and you have the stickers in fantastic. If you ever sold that one, you could probably pay a mortgage payment with it.
Well, I don't know about that much. But yeah, if I maybe would sell it if I could do that. Yeah. So.
But in any case, it's in really good shape.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
great.
We got another one. Like I said, I got another one coming. The splatter vinyl, the German of that one. The red colored one. But see what happens with that one.
Great. Well, that's a really, really fantastic one. With me, you can never go wrong with the Kiss selection. I'm always excited, as you can tell, with me jumping in on the phone there, trying to help you out with some of that.
Digging it out, because I didn't. I thought it was Australian. I'm way off. Anyway.
But it's not really, if you think about it. They're like neighboring countries.
And they're neighboring.
It's really easy to have assumed that one of them would have been similar than the other.
I always assumed it was that, but whatever. That's fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
It's awesome. All right. So on to my next selection. And this one might not be much of a surprise, being a Canadian person. And no, it's not Rush. Okay. It's not Rush.
Not Rush.
But this is a greatest hits that I got. Probably the second album of theirs that I got. And when I first put it on, I was like, oh, it's all over the place. It sounds different, you could tell that they did it in different studios and this and that. So obviously I clued in when I got a bit older and said, oh, okay, this is a compilation record, blah, 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 blah. And what I like about this one is this is another example of a compilation record that has 2 new songs on it that are not on any record. Sometimes compilation records do that where they put something brand new on it as well. So let me show you.
That's true.
This album, and this is a record I had many copies of. In fact, I believe I sent one copy that I had a double of this to Ryan McKay of the Shabby Road Record Show. I ended up sending him a couple of Max Webster albums. There you go. It's Max Webster. And it's Diamonds.
Okay.
Now this is a fantastic greatest hits record. As you can see with the sticker on the side, this is the Anthem Records reissue of it. Right. Lots of photographs of them live and in concert playing. It's not a live greatest, it's a studio. Right. But
right.
I'll show you the vinyl real quick. And of course it's on the ever popular Anthem Records.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right. I'm gonna just check here really quickly. There's a Capitol record. Oh, there's a TLC indicator on here. So we know that this is done at the lacquer channel, CCLA-A, meaning they probably used their very first lacquer cutting machine for it. There is also the indicator of an RE and another squiggly line, so that could be the person. Oh, sorry, KE. So that's possible. It could be one of these people that were in there that were working at the time. George Graves, I know, is one of the ones that was working there for a long time. I'm not sure if that's one of his many synonyms that he used when he was cutting records, but this is a really, really good album. I'll read you the little bit of information that's with this. Diamonds is a greatest hits album by the Canadian band Max Webster. It was released in 1981 after the band had broken up and features 2 new tracks, Hotspots and Overnight Sensation, which were recorded in 1978 during the Mutiny Up My Sleeve sessions. No songs from the band's fifth album, Universal Juveniles, are included on this album, which is really strange because for me personally, that is my favorite album that he's done.
Is that
hands
the one?
down.
Is that the one where he's on the cover or the jumping in the jumpsuit doing a split? Yeah, I used to have that album. Yeah.
That's a fantastic album. I mean, that has a battle scar, the duet with Rush on it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So, this has Gravity, High Class and Borrowed Shoes, Diamonds, Diamonds, Summer's Up, Blowing the Blues Away. That's a great song. Let Go of the Line, Million Vacations. That's another fantastic song. The Party, one of my favorites. That to me is like Canadian Frank Zappa and the Mothers, that song right there. The Party. Hot Spots, Paradise Skies. And then you have Overnight Sensation. And then you have Lip Service. And you have the last song, which is the classic Hangover, right? So great stuff. I really, really like Max Webster. I think that he's one of the most underrated guitar players of all time, in my opinion. He has such a fantastic guitar tone, and some of his guitar solos are like, wow. Like even to this day, still, when I listen to these records, I'm always like, grabbing my guitar afterwards and trying to figure out those little shreddy little licks that he does in there, because it's just fantastic. He knows how to play fast, but with style. It's not just like blasting all over the place and going, what the hell's going on here? It makes sense. There's still melody to it, and there's more. There's a thought process with his soloing, I find. So, I really like this album, and I think honestly, when you were talking earlier about how sometimes it's good to get a record for like this when you're getting new or introduced to a band. And I think this is a prime example of that. I think that if you're not sure on Max Webster, if you're going to be hip to it or not, you go out and you look for this album right here.
First. Yeah.
And I'm sure sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you what do you think is the reasoning for them to not use any songs from Universal Juvenile?
I think it's because of how close the record came out after Universal Juvenile.
Okay.
I think it's possible that
Sales.
I think it's probably that came out and maybe like 5 months after it just came out, because they did break up shortly after that record. Yeah.
Okay.
So they probably figured, okay, you know what, we're not going to put any of those songs on there because, maybe people won't buy the newest record.
They didn't want to kill the record. They didn't want to kill that record. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
So.
Makes sense.
But this, I can't help but keep saying it. This is a good album to get. And I mean, if you're one of those aficionados who are saying, well, what's the best pressing of it? I'm still a firm believer that if you want to get the best version of an album, you always go with the country from where the band is from. Kiss, get the US ones. Rush, get the Canadian. Max Webster, get the Canadians. Bowie, get the UK. Beatles, get the UK. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
AC/DC, get the Australians. I mean, those are so sought after, those ones. They're unbelievable, So there you go. My little Canadian pitch for today.
I wasn't expecting Max Webster, so that's a good one. Yeah, I used to have that album back in the day, and that's one I hadn't restocked. Not that album, not the greatest hits, but the other one we were talking about. But I have to revisit that. So cool. All right. Well,
next.
For my second one, another band I love very much, which we've shown before on there.
Yes.
This is a early, which I would call an early greatest hits, before they really made it big. So it's ELO, and this is Olé ELO, and this is from the first. I think they're holding up the albums like just over five albums here at that time, or out. And this is just before a New World Record came out. This was 1976. So New World Record came out that same year. So again, it's probably like the Max Webster thing. They're not going to put those songs on. They're not going to kill that
Yeah.
record either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this copy right here is where it says special programming aid for DJ use only, not for sale, limited edition, not for sale, limited edition, and the back shows kind of it's supposed to be like they're holding up the song type and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
this other thing about this for this limited edition, the reason for limited edition is it's a colored vinyl.
Ooh, nice.
The translucent like gold or yellowish gold kind of color. It's on the UA, United Artists Records label.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have this little Jet Records on there too in the lower right hand corner if you look at that too. And yeah, again, this is a DJ use only, not for sale on that label. Now this is another one where it's crammed in. Look at the run out groove. Now that's tight, right? Both sides are tight like that. Well, the reasoning is at the earlier years, ELO's more progressive, and they had some longer songs going on this. For instance, Kuyama is 11 minutes and 10 seconds long. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then you had another song like Roll Over Beethoven, 8 minutes long.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just, they had to do it that way. Now, the interesting thing about this record, too, as compared to like future releases, is they did something about that where they changed the length of the songs. For instance, this first of all it came out in 76, but it had, what is it here, 11:10. Kuyama was 11:10, and then later editions it was knocked down to 9 minutes and 8 seconds. Now, Roll Over Beethoven was 8 minutes and 2 seconds on that pressing. Mm-hmm. They trimmed it down by half, almost 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Yeah, so they tried to, make it a better, I guess, or not tighten it up so much. So I have another one here. This is another copy. This is a regular, I believe this is one of my regular copies. So this one has, like the other one, it's all black and white. Here, the album covers are in color on here.
Yes.
On this one, and this is a regular Jet type label. It's not so tight either because it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a lot more dead wax there.
Yeah, a lot more, and someone marked this. I think on one of these, even though it says it was longer, but it's not long on the label. It's not as long as it really says it is. It's something like that. So I have that one. That's a second copy, and then there's one more copy. So this one, where is it? This one here. I'm trying to figure out which one was what. I think this one is. Oh, that one was the later copy on Jet Records label, and this is a regular copy of on the UA label here.
Yes.
So that was so anyway, it has great songs on here from those earlier albums. 10538 Overture, great tune. Kuyama's great. Roll Over Beethoven, when they trimmed it down, it didn't, I don't know, even though it's kind of long, when they trimmed it down, it's not a good trim job they did on that one. There's Showdown, which was a hit song on here. Ma Belle, I Can't Get It Out of My Head, another hit song, good song. Boy Blue, Evil Woman is on here, and Strange Magic, which were also yeah. So those were big hits. That's when they were starting to get more popular after those couple songs came out. But yeah, this is kind of a early best of. They do have a later greatest hits, but it's not. They don't have a lot of the earlier, longer stuff. It's more of the later or mid to late hits.
More the radio friendlier stuff.
I remember the radio friendly that came out in the greatest. I want to say it came out like 1979 or 8 or 9 or something like that. Which actually I don't even have, which is funny. And I have a ton of ELO, but I don't have that one. So anyway, it's just one that is kind of cool, and I like the one with the DJ copy with the longest versions of the songs plus the gold yellow kind of translucent vinyl.
What I find absolutely fascinating though about that is that usually on the promo DJ copies of it, they go out of their way to make massive little cuts and edits. Like I know on the ones that I have, the promo ones, they have Gates of Delirium on Relayer, and it's like cut into pieces, like this long a section, and there's like a fade out, and then another like they actually have fade outs when it's like really a 20-minute song into like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. It's like, but your copy of that keeps the songs long, and it's a DJ copy, which is like unbelievable that they did that.
Which is weird because, like you're saying, they trimmed down songs. Like I have another ELO one, which is a DJ. It's a regular album, but they trimmed off the beginning of the song, the kind of like the intro part. They just chopped it off completely. It just goes right into the song. And so, I don't know what it's kind of weird that they did keep it long.
Would you say that the DJ copy is the best sounding one sonically?
I think so. Yeah. It's a real good sounding record, and usually they are, right, the early pressings. So they should be, at least, if they're gonna. You want them to play those on the radio. So
yeah, exactly.
And want people to buy them, buy the records.
Exactly. Okay, another fantastic pick. I really enjoyed that one. And now let's get to my last pick.
Third pick.
And of course, in my opinion, this is one of my favorite compilation records. When I found this one, it was sealed. Okay.
Oh.
And I was completely in shock that it was sealed. I mean, I'll show you I saved some little pieces of it because I did take it out of the shrink because it's a gatefold, so I couldn't keep it in the shrink.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on top of it, it was a half-speed master as well. So I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And whoever was trading in their collection had a couple of these records by the same artist. They were three records, all three sealed, all three half-speed masters. I scooped them all up, and they cost me, believe it or not, under $70 for all three. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, because like now if you go on Discogs, these records are up there. They're like, closer to like 40 each record.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And
half-speed masters usually run a little more. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. So I will show you here what this is. Let me just get it out properly. So it's King Crimson, and it is the young person's guide to King Crimson. Okay, so it has this kind of interesting artwork to it.
Interesting.
Let's look at the back here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I saved from the shrink wrap was that it had this, right?
Okay. Yeah, 2 records.
And it also had this on there right away. So this is like obviously the thing that almost made me fall over and pass out when I saw it.
Limited edition, collector's edition, and half-speed mastered. Okay, I got it. All right.
So, you know me. King Crimson is a band that has really influenced me a lot. Like Robert Fripp is a fantastic songwriter and guitar player. This came out on the EG Gold kind of edition.
Huh. Hmm. Interesting. Seen that.
And in the dead wax, and now what's interesting is you want to talk about dead wax. Look at the side of that mother.
Oh yeah, yeah, nice.
That's a huge dead wax
A
on
lot of
that.
room there. Yeah.
And then you have on here in the dead wax, you have I believe it's sterling there. Is it sterling? Yeah, sterling.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
I
good.
do see initials.
Is it RL?
EXP. The initials are. It doesn't have any initials.
No.
But in any case, this is like a really, really great record. I mean, this is an example, in fact, of, again, if you're not knowing about this band and if you don't want to, get into them, this is what you go out and get. Now, of course, they have other versions of this as well,
Right.
that are probably not as expensive as this one is. But I'll show you the inside too of the gatefold because I think it's really, really cool. And one of the reasons why these sorts of records are.
So it shows where they probably pulled the music from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notice the bullet hole here at the top.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oops, sorry. And in here it has the album covers, but it also has on here all the songs on the side, right? When you look here, and some of them are pretty interesting because, for example, I Talk to the Wind, which is the last song on side A, is the previously unreleased version that had Judy Dyble, D-Y-B-L-E. She was the one who was in King Crimson very, very briefly. And it says here right at the bottom, recorded in the front room at 93-8 Broadsbury Road, London, during 1968 July on an old secondhand Revox 2-track tape machine. So they recorded the whole thing to two-track tape. And there's a really fantastic booklet for a record that came out called the Broadsbury Tapes, and it was called From Giles and Fripp, and it shows step by step how they recorded songs onto a 2-track machine.
Wow.
It was really interesting on how they did it, right? And and what, of course, one of the things that I love about these kinds of records by Mr. Fripp is he always adds in these monstrous booklets into them.
Oh wow.
Like you have this is like these are complete like journal entries.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. That's cool. They do that.
Yeah, and there's
more artists should do that.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and see, like they have like nice photos here as well.
Yeah.
Now it's funny whenever me and Ken say something like this, for all you fine listeners out there, whenever we make that little crack about other bands should be doing that, this is a direct jab at Kiss, because this is the band that we always talk about on our podcast, the Kiss FAQ podcast, that they're a band that seriously needs to do stuff like this, where they release a greatest hits thing. They just released one now. Why didn't they put in something like this with more explanations about the songs or some little tidbits and quirks about each song?
Yeah.
Some
background,
Yeah, it would make it definitely more interesting and a reason to go buy yet another, greatest hits record from them. I mean, this is what the 56th or something, like, So I mean, I just find it like I'm always grateful. Let's just put it that way. I'm grateful that Mr. Fripp goes out of his way to do that. He gets all this information, tour dates, complete things about the studio sessions and what did they play and what did they not do. And this, like, and if you want to go even deeper into the rabbit hole, I have like 7 or 8 box sets over there, King Crimson ones, like around specific time periods or even specific albums. Like the first record is a box set, and it goes into all kinds of mono versions and redone versions, alternate versions, ones with a saxophone, no saxophone, like all kinds of different things that they were trying, Why can't other bands do that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure you're getting though that King Crimson box that's going to be
Yes.
coming, right? Right.
The new one, yeah. Heaven and Earth, yeah. I'm gonna be getting it.
I saw that and I thought of you. I thought, oh, that's Mark's going to be getting that one.
And another 24 CD extravaganza.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, that's
Blu-rays
wild.
and everything. Well, what's great about it is they have a Blu-ray that has like 3 complete concerts on there, and then they have like on the Blu-ray they have like versions of the record in 5.1 surround. Like that is one thing that I want to strangle Paul and Gene about. Is like why have we not gotten a 5.1
Yeah.
surround Kiss album?
Yeah. Good question. That's a good question. So I don't know, but maybe someday we can just cross our
Yeah.
fingers on that one. So that's a good pick, Mark. That's a cool one. I like
Thank
that.
you.
It's cool that you found that too. I mean,
Yeah.
God,
In an
that's
antique
good.
store.
Yeah. That's usually where you get those lucky finds,
Mm.
just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, it's like,
Oh
what's
yeah.
this doing here? You decide the right place, the right time. So
Oh
anyway,
yes.
so my third pick is going to be, since this is turning out to be the Endless podcast, this is going to be Endless Summer album from Beach Boys.
Very nice.
And I remember buying this album back in the early 70s. I think when it came out. It was released in June 24th, 74.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not called the Best of the Beach Boys. It's just called Endless Summer. But it is a best of compilation album. It came out in June 24th, 74. Of course, summertime, which makes sense, right? A good time to. And it's the hits from 1962 to 65 period of the Beach Boys. And it was compiled by their, I'm reading this, old label Capitol Records, while the Beach Boys were contracted to Reprise Records.
Mm.
It says its unexpected success bore immediate consequences for the band's then progressive musical direction. Yeah, you don't think progressive when it's the Beach Boys, but it revitalized the band's popularity after years of lukewarm sales, but also inspired nostalgia for the Beach Boys' early surfing and hot rod themed music, repositioning the group as an oldies act. So it actually, 4 months after its release, this album reached #1 in the United States and Canada. Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a group. Yeah, it was a group's second chart-topping album in the U.S. and returned them to a level of commercial success that they had not experienced since the mid-'60s. So the compilation spent 155 weeks on the Billboard albums chart and was certified 3 times platinum.
Very
shipping
nice.
over 3 million copies in the United States. And so it's an album. You know what? And this is around the time period. You think about it. I don't know. You know the movie like American Graffiti,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That is, and we were talking about this on the other podcast